is going on, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of The Legislative Director, talking about legislative things. She is nearby, but not next to me. Legislative Director Amber Marr from an undisclosed location. With her, as always, not the Legislative Director, Jason Thompson. So, a little bit of a different setup to start things off. And it's because we've had some changes here at AARP Indiana. And we need to highlight some of that because I don't know if you've noticed in last week's episode, you did not hear from producer Dan, who's been a big part of the show for a little while now. And you may be asking yourself why that is. And it's because Dan isn't a part of the AARP Indiana team anymore, but don't worry, he's still part of the AARP family. He's just now from Denver, Colorado. Let's bring him on here for his first appearance on camera. Dan Domsick. Producer Dan in the flesh.
Dan!
There you go. He exists. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm staying warm. Glad to be on the show today. Though not so sure about this being on camera thing. It's a little bit odd, but this has been a fun walk down memory lane for sure.
Well, Dan, what are you doing now? I said that you're part of the AARP family still, just now in Denver, Colorado. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm not the legislative director for AARP Colorado. I'm their new comms guy. I'm the new Jason for AARP Colorado.
Fantastic.
Started late July, moved out here in August. It's been an adventure. Absolutely loving it. So far, so good.
Oh, that's fantastic. We're very proud of you here.
We miss you. We do miss you so much, Dan.
I miss y'all too.
Miss you a great deal. Now you can be honest with Amber and I. The part you missed most about being here in Indiana is this show.
Well, yeah, obviously. What would my week be without an episode of the Legislative Director talking about legislative things? Is easily one of my kind of favorite things to do. Not really sort of.
Well, it's one of those things where I think I mean, what is not to miss of you waiting while I'm fumbling around with a camera and a microphone and trying to get this set up?
Let me.
It's like old times, Dan.
I need to give a little bit of background. Dan had so much patience. So I was thinking that if he came on to this show today, he'd be like, "Oh, I bet you they have it ready to go. They're gonna just keep on rolling." Nope, it was the same old, same old. He had to wait. It was a long time till we were ready. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
In all seriousness, I did enjoy putting together and working with you both on this show. I mean, number one, I'm a tech nerd and somebody who likes this kind of stuff, this communications kind of work, and getting to put together a podcast with y'all was a lot of fun. And two, it constantly kept me in the thick of what was going on at the State House. I mean, I get an update every week and, kind of feel like I got to be, on the team that's playing all the inside baseball a little bit. So I do miss it, and it is a lot of fun. I was actually helping our state director out with a video series that we're just launching now here this week, and it just kind of reminded me a little bit about this whole process, and as I say, it's very apropos for my Thursday going into this. And of course, too, I know we got an awesome new communications analyst on the team, and we've got producer Anna, which has got to be absolutely awesome.
Which, there we go. There she is. Friend of the show and former guest, actually. For those of you that have been watched the show last season, we had Anna on because, Anna, what were you doing here last year in 2024?
I'm pretty sure the last time I was on, we were talking about Purdue and the Final Four in basketball.
We were.
Ooh.
We're up.
But no, I was with the Indiana team in early 2024 for their legislative session as their volunteer legislative fellow, as part of the last position that I had. And now I'm here permanently.
You love to see it. You've already made better use of my office than I made. It looks way better.
Thank you.
It has good energy. I just kind of threw my stuff in there and went to work. So good on you.
Thank you.
So now we have producer Anna. Dan, any advice for Anna as she continues to embark? Because this is her second episode of dealing with
chaos.
So first things first, before production starts, you're going to want to go and use the restroom. You don't know how long you're going to be here. You just don't. You got to practice the legislative director talking about legislative things eye roll. So this is when things are going off the track. Like you can do one of those, and I'll get the point. But if you really lean into it, that's how these two will know that it's time to get things moving. So there's that. Canva is your friend. Adobe Rush is your friend. Bookmarking all of those is a good move. Walking by JT's office and saying casually something about how Superman's the best superhero, so he's in a good mood. Solid. Not a lot of people know that JT's a big superhero fan. I do, though.
I do recall that last year JT was in a big superhero game phase that he was playing.
I think we're still rolling it. It's no free ads or anything like that, but it's a game called Marvel Snap, right, Dan?
We're still playing.
Still playing it. Every now and then I touch base with Dan to see if are you gonna go after this card, or I'm not really feeling this season, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it's still happening. I'm not as much into it as I've taken a little time off from it, and that might be just a product of this time of year. But at the same time, it's still there. I'm still playing, still trying to climb that ladder. You know what I'm saying? Get to that rank infinite, which it's tough each season. Anyway,
I wonder how many people listening to this or watching know about Marvel Snap. That's what I want to know how many people know about what game you're talking about. I mean, I don't. I only know about it because you guys talked about it, but I'm just curious if there are other people that play it.
Drop a comment on YouTube if you play Marvel Snap.
It's actually just me and Jason playing against each other repeatedly.
Yep. All the time. There's nobody else.
This whole game is catered to just these two Midwesterners that really like superheroes.
That would still be amazing.
It's I encourage you all to check it out. Not that they need any help getting players. But
one other piece of advice really quick.
There we go.
Just know that you're very close to the actual studio, the AARP studio. Now this is really inside baseball because the AARP studio is next to your office. So if they're really not getting it together, you can do one of those on the wall and yell, "Hey, let's get moving, people." You can do that.
We'll see how the season goes. Maybe I'll upgrade to like an air horn.
Yeah, it might be a good call.
Version 2, I like it.
Train horn, something like that.
We're gonna put it in the budget, the production budget of some sort of train whistle or whatnot to get us back on track.
Yes.
Well, Dan, I've appreciated everything you've done for this show and just for AARP in general, as well as now what you're doing for the Colorado office. Like I said, we're very proud of you. And excited that you could join us for this little passing. It's a passing of the producer torches, if you will. And then, Anna, obviously super pumped that you're on board as well. And that you
wasn't sure
decided
where that was going.
to not leave after your fellowship with us, that you decided to still stick around. So I appreciate that.
Somehow we lucked out with both Dan and Anna having the patience of a saint. So
Correct.
I do think that is something I wanted to mention on here.
What
no
you're
doubt.
not saying is that patience of a saint is actually a stress ball that I left in the corner of the office. And that'll really get you through.
Yeah, it's something that is it's a struggle. I'm a bit much.
It really isn't. It's a
Um,
good time, and I appreciate the opportunity to come back to my old school and say hi, hello, and wish you both, and well, really wish all three of you a great legislative session. I know it's already busy.
Oh, thank you.
I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of this episode and learning what y'all are working on. So, happy hunting here this legislative session for some good wins.
Well,
Thank you, Dan.
thank you so much for that, Dan. And that is actually, look, in true producer Dan fashion, kept us on track, brought us to a good point where we can go like, all right, let's get into it. So when we get back into this, for those of you that are watching, you'll see us in the normal setup where we're going to talk about some legislation and stuff like that. And for those of you that are listening, nothing's really going to change on your end, except maybe it sounds differently. But for the rest of you that are watching, that's next time you'll see us, we'll get into some legislation and things like that. But appreciate you, Dan. Welcome, Anna. And we will get back at it and talk some legislation when we get back. Thank you both.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for being patient as we transition back into the studio to talk about things. Special thanks to Dan Domsick, producer Dan. It's good to see his face again. Good to have him back. And welcome Anna into the fold. Anna, excited to have you on board and part of the team and behind the scenes, keeping us in line. And today was a struggle to do that. So thank you.
It's going to continue to be. Don't let him fool you. This is not changing.
Yeah, you know,
Or I at least wouldn't hold your breath.
it's probably fair. It's a fair statement. So Anna, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Anna.
Stick with us as we get, and all of you stick with us. Amber, let's talk about some legislation now because it's only like the, I don't know, like 5th or 6th day of session or whatever it is, but it feels like they've already been in for a month. What are we, let's give some update on some legislation that we're following.
I did just want to say one thing.
Yes.
I love that our fellows have stuck around in some capacity.
This is true.
Kate was our first fellow,
Yes.
and she is on our volunteer legislative team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Anna has become a colleague of ours.
Yeah.
So we are getting a new fellow, though.
Yes.
So we will have a third fellow, and we will have an opportunity to bring her on to show. So for the 3rd year, we will have this fellowship going, and so you'll get to meet her soon.
And who knows what's next for them?
Yeah, I don't know
Because it's just going from volunteer to being on staff. I don't know. Maybe take this seat here. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe. If wishing made it so, that's Amber's inner dialogue.
But I just had to say that. I thought it was really cool. That's why we're so grateful for.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to turn off my volume.
It's okay.
Second faux pas. Okay.
We're excited about, love our fellows,
Yes.
love our volunteers, and we love talking about legislation that we're going to talk about right
Yes.
now.
So, but I can't move on until I give a shout out to
Yes.
say thank you to Dr. Crowder.
Dr. Crowder, yes.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have these fellows.
Yes. IU,
And they're
IU
not-
School of Nursing?
Just hit this again.
It's okay.
All
it's
right.
fine.
I'm a mess.
We're fine.
But I did want to give a shout out to Dr. Crowder
Yes.
and the IU School of Nursing because we wouldn't have these opportunities otherwise.
Love them
Okay. Now
so
we
much.
can move on.
Let's talk some legislation. What do we want to talk about first?
Okay. So last week we talked about Senate Bill 142.
Yes.
It was the eviction issues bill. It was authored by Senator Brown, who is also the chair of Judiciary.
Yep.
It was held last week just because there needed to be a small amendment. However, the amendment we thought it was going to be, it wasn't exactly that amendment, but I think we're still okay with it.
Okay.
It still makes incremental steps for sealing evictions. The only thing the amendment did is that if someone still owes money, which they refer to that as a judgment, if
Okay.
there's still a judgment out there, they cannot expunge the eviction after 7 years. It still has to be paid.
Okay.
So from my understanding, at least, that is what the amendment did. They didn't want the judgment to be expunged or sealed after 7 years if the individual still owed money to whomever, probably the landlord, the proprietor.
Okay.
So, but it does still automatically seal or expunge evictions if the tenant was found in favor, or if the court hearing was found in favor of the tenant. or if the tenant has satisfied the judgment or the monetary amount that they owed.
Okay.
So it was brought back in committee this week in judiciary, and the amendment went in 10-1, and the bill passed 10-1.
Moving on.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Always
we were very
good
happy
news.
about that.
What is the next piece of
Let's
legislation we want to talk
see.
about here?
So another thing this week that happened, Senate Bill 2,
Okay.
which is referred to as Medicaid Matters, and it is authored by Senator Mishler, Senator Garten, and Senator Charbonneau.
Okay.
And it basically is a bill pertaining to our expansion of Medicaid, but here in the state of Indiana, we refer to that as HIP 2.0. So we did sort of our own method of expanding Medicaid, and it was through the HIP program.
Okay.
So there's a lot that's happening around the HIP program here in Indiana. This particular bill is trying to address some of that. And, we did not testify in committee. However, we have expressed some concerns to the chairman, who is Chairman Mishler. It went to appropriations, so it was heard in appropriations this week. And some pieces of the bill, I will say, these are the concerns that we have that are in the bill currently. It does cap the Medicaid expansion enrollment at 500,000, which means it could create a waiting list.
Okay.
We just have some concerns around that.
Yeah.
It sets a limit on Medicaid expansion enrollment at 36 months for individuals. So you can no longer be on,
Okay.
it shortens the period of time that you can be on
Okay.
HIP. It prohibits the state from using self-attestation for a lot of the data required to determine Medicaid eligibility. Sets up barriers to presumptive eligibility. Oh my gosh.
Eligibility.
We're going to start over. All right. Sets up barriers to presumptive eligibility.
Got it. There we go.
Determinations by hospitals.
Okay.
So oftentimes if someone is in the hospital, they have to care for that individual immediately, get them stable if that is what is happening. And then they can, if they're not covered by insurance,
Yeah.
they can go down a road that is called PE. That's what I'm going to call it, so I don't have to keep saying the word. Presumptive eligibility determinations to see if they would be eligible for Medicaid. But it's
Okay.
sort of an expedited process.
Okay.
But it does touch on that and puts barriers around what hospitals can do in that particular situation. Then it includes a work requirement that only has a caregiving exemption for people caregiving for children. And so, from an AARP perspective, we understand that there are caregivers of all types.
Yep.
And caregiving does not just stop at children. It also
Absolutely.
expands beyond loved ones, aging loved ones, parents, siblings, etc. So we are just going to be having some of these conversations with the chairman and committee members, as well as the entire legislature as this kind of moves through. We understand, the new secretary testified today in committee, and I think the new administration, Governor Braun's administration, does have a few changes that they also would like to see. However, I think the majority of it that they were in support of.
Okay.
So we're just going to be kind of hoping to be at the table to express how this is going to affect a portion of our population.
Yeah. It's a, thorny issue, as they may say.
I think that, this is, as we were going to say about all Medicaid
Yeah.
conversations, it's very delicate. We
Yep.
know that the budget in that area is growing at a rapid pace.
Mhm.
We also know that our aging population is growing at a rapid pace.
Yes.
So there are going to be a lot of hard discussions, but we also know that they are trying to curb cost.
Yes.
So, we have to kind of manage understanding that that cost needs to be contained, but also realizing, making sure that the consumer voice is still a part of the discussion.
Absolutely. Okay.
And so again, we did not testify in committee, but have been having these conversations and will continue to have them. And then Senator Mishler, Chairman Mishler, held the bill today.
Okay.
They are going to, obviously, there's a lot of work that they still need to do on it. And he just said he's open to all kinds of input and suggestions. So we are going to be doing that as that moves forward.
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do
Okay.
we want to talk about?
Senate Bill 513.
Senate Bill 513.
Let me see. Uh-oh. I've got too many tabs open. Okay. Oh, Senate Bill 513. So this week, well, we kind of touched on this on the last
Yeah,
episode.
I think we did.
I think we did. It is the state administered retirement program. This is the bill that ARP refers to as Work and Save.
Okay, yeah.
And Senator Becker she filed it. It just took a while to show up online. And now it's
A lot of
finally
bills.
online, and
A lot of bills.
it has been assigned to the Committee on Appropriations that we just talked about. So Chairman Mishler will be the one making the decision on whether to hear it. And so as a reminder, this is, let me get my notes so I don't misstate anything. It is an auto IRA program for individuals that are not offered a retirement savings plan through their work.
Okay.
It is a public-private partnership through our treasurer's office, and it will be administered by a third party.
Okay.
It makes it's an auto enrollment with an opt-out. The contributions are made by payroll deduction. They can use this IRA from job to job. It's very flexible, and they're very simple investments, so it's very easy to understand. And we are just trying to bolster retirement savings. We heard a lot about retirement savings today. I think, one of the things one item that was brought up during the conversation through Senate Bill 2, and, sort of curbing eligibility and, trying to get individuals off of the Medicaid rolls, medical debt came up.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to note that even during that medical debt conversation is that individuals have also had to deplete their retirement savings. And that was if they had retirement savings. And so we are just hoping that this particular bill, we can look at it from a perspective of, we want to make sure that people are stable, that they are secure, and anything that we can do to increase individuals participating in a retirement savings is one step closer to making sure that people can care for themselves after retirement.
Yeah, it's an important issue, and there's so many folks in the state that don't have access to any kind of retirement. So anything we can do to get people into those programs or saving for their financial future, as we like to say, is great.
Because I think we also mentioned that if you are not offered a retirement savings plan through your employer, individuals rarely go out on their own to get one.
Correct.
So if anyone is going to participate in a retirement savings program, it's usually because you're being offered it through your employer.
Yep. And the fact that it's like a deduction, a payroll deduction and things of that nature, so you don't have to think about it, like doing it yourselves. Like those are the kinds of things that are a positive.
Yep. So stay tuned on that. We are definitely going to be working on this, requesting a hearing from the chairman. We don't know what it looks like right now, but we are going to remain hopeful.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, that's exciting.
It's very exciting. And thank you. Huge shout out to Senator Becker. Oh, and I did want to say she got a couple other individuals to join her already. Senator Greg Walker, Senator Alting, Senator Kadora, Senator Hunley, Senator Jackson, and Senator Pohl.
Okay.
So there is a good bipartisan effort on the bill already.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Very exciting. Okay. Next up, other thing that happened today. Since Governor Braun took office on Monday.
Was that just this Monday?
This week has been like 5 weeks in one. Yeah.
Or
we haven't even talked about the way that we went to
we went to the inauguration.
Inauguration.
It's because I didn't think it was this week.
Well, I think we said we were going to go last week.
Yeah.
And then this week literally has felt like a year.
I didn't realize that was on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We
Yeah.
were there.
We were there. It was lovely.
It was very lovely.
Yes. So he took office on Monday. And so from Monday to today, his administration has had to really prepare because they gave a breakdown of the governor's budget today.
Okay.
There was a lot that happened there. We're still trying to break it down, so I don't want to try to get into the details because there will be plenty of time for that. Not to mention, just trying to compare the governor's budget to
So whatever the House and Senate put together and all that fun stuff.
Yes. So stay tuned, but we were there when they went through that at the budget committee. The budget committee met and we were there for the presentation. So yeah,
Okay.
There's a lot of good
Stay
information.
tuned for that. Yeah.
Yes. What was I going to say about that?
A lot of good information in there.
Yes, and probably things that we'll be engaging in.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
By probably I mean it's the budget, so yes,
So-
we will be engaging.
when I say probably, I mean yes,
Yes.
for sure.
Uh-huh.
We'll be engaging on it.
Okay. Next up, property tax bills are already posted. Some very big ones.
Mhm.
I'm mentioning that because Senate Bill 1
Yes.
will be hopefully discussed on our property tax forum next Wednesday on the, what is the date?
I think it's the 22nd is when we're going to be.
That's already next week.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, I think. We're recording this on Thursday. It is Wednesday. So less than a week from now is the property tax
I went like this
virtual
and January disappeared.
our virtual event that is Hoosier Property Taxes, where we've been and where we're going is how we've named it.
Yes.
Where it's going to be a virtual event where you can come and hear about, get some background on how we've arrived at this point, and then hear about how we have somebody from the Indiana Association of Counties who's going to talk about how it's going to impact the local level. Amber will be there to talk about some AARP ideas about how we can provide some property tax relief. And then Senator Holdman, who is the chair of the Tax and Fiscal Policy and who is the author or the lead author on Senate Bill 1,
Yep.
is joining us to talk about
Did
property
you
taxes.
say Larry?
Well, yeah. So Larry DeBoer, Professor
You
Larry
didn't say
DeBoer,
that, did you?
he's going to be providing the history of how we
Did I
got
miss
here.
you saying that?
I said it, but I didn't say his name. So that was a good shout out. And then Ryan Hoff from the Indiana Association of Counties
You did say Ryan.
will be joining us.
Okay. Just want to make sure we got all of the speakers.
Yes, all the speakers. And then Sarah Waddle, our state director,
Yes.
will also be on.
Absolutely. But I brought up Senate Bill 1 because since Senator Holdman is joining us next week,
Yes.
he will be talking about, hopefully, because I'm going to
Hopefully.
ask him that question. What's in Senate Bill 1? How is that affecting everybody? What does it look like? Okay. So that's why we brought that up.
Yeah.
But there also is a big property tax bill in the House. And hopefully we'll be getting into more of the details on that and several other bills that deal with property tax.
And that's something that is connected to our event that is also happening next week is there is a survey,
Oh,
an
yeah.
AARP survey that we conducted at the end of, or at the beginning, middle of December, right before the holidays, asking older Hoosier homeowners about property taxes and how it's impacted them and gauging their opinions on some other legislation and things of that nature. So we're going to release those results at the conclusion of our property tax event. So stay tuned for seeing some more of that as well. We'll
Feel like
be
I
talking about it on this show.
was like almost falling asleep.
What, just talking about property taxes or just because I was talking?
Neither. It's like all of a sudden I just got hit. I like slammed into a wall. And it just hit me right
This
now.
is an exhausting endeavor, both the show, but then also the just the work in general. Amber's been working very hard.
We all have.
Amber's been working very hard.
Everyone has.
Always the team player.
Here's the deal. I think I said this. Tell me if I already said this since we've been on air. I felt today when I was talking to somebody, I said, this is the second week of session, but here's the deal. Session didn't start till Wednesday of last week. It's Thursday of this week. So really, it's only been a week. Okay. I mean, if you think logically,
Yes.
it has been 1 week of session. And I just can't. I don't know.
It's hard to believe that this is only like this 1 week into this thing.
I feel like we've been through a month. I mean, it's probably just me. I don't know. I
No,
need to just get back into the swing.
it's not just-
Give me another week and I will be
Get you up into
ready to go. I will not be tired anymore. I'll be thriving. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know because I will not be either of those things. I
I don't know. Okay.
believe that you will be. Me, not so much.
I will tell you what will wake me up, though. Our legislative team is going to be here.
Yeah, and not next week, but the week after.
Yes.
They
The
are.
27th.
They're gearing up. They're getting ready.
I am ready.
We actually met with them this week too, virtually.
Forgot to say that.
That happened this week as
Thank
well.
you for bringing that up.
That
we met with
is-
our volunteer legislative team. It
Yeah.
was virtual, so they were not at the State House with us, but we kicked it off by talking about some of the bills that we had already testified on in the first 2 days of session. And now we're a week in. Okay. But it was great. And they're very much
Yeah.
looking forward to.
They're excited.
Yes.
They're excited.
I think they've reached out to their legislators, just telling them that we're all, we're going to be here. So we're going to have a great year.
It's gonna be a great session.
Yeah.
With a great team. Just great.
I don't know how many greats.
That's our thing. Great.
Bing, bing, bing.
Get
how
the
many
counter
times?
going. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good.
Okay. Well, Amber.
There's so much more that we will talk about. And if there are things that you have questions on or we haven't touched on, just feel free to, how do you do it? Drop it.
Yeah, drop it in the comments.
I
Also,
don't think anybody.
I don't think we
does
ever
that.
did it. No, like
It's because nobody watches.
like, subscribe, tell your friends. Smash that subscribe button, as
Okay.
they say.
I'll close
what-
this now. We're good.
Yeah, that's our cue to wrap it up. Amber, thank you as always. Anna, behind the scenes, always thank you as
Thank
well.
You, Anna.
Thank you,
Producer Anna.
producer Anna. Bull.
We can't.
Okay,
Talk. We
talk-
didn't talk last week either. We're gonna get it together.
Talking's hard.
We're gonna get it together.
Thank you to our legislative team. Thank you to Dan for coming back by.
I shouldn't make
Thanks.
promises I can't keep.
Thanks to just everybody. Just thanks. Just a lot of thanks. Okay.
Stay warm. It's supposed to be -14 next week.
We're full of good news on this show. Okay. So until next time on the Legislative Director, talking about legislative things. We'll see you then.